All right, I'd like to welcome everybody back to another episode of the Living Level. This time, you're just going to be looking at these two dimes again. We had T. Bailey's wife come up with some questions. They're good questions. And me and Brother T. Bailey are going to attempt to answer them as best as we can, as best as we know how. But some of them may need thinking on for a while. But we'll try to get through them and do our best. Some of the things we did this past week was we went to the Scottish Rite reunion, Scottish Rite, Valley of Lake Charles. That was pretty fun. Got to take part in some of the degrees and do some work down there. That was pretty interesting. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Rather thoroughly enjoyed that. A lot of fun. And what else did we do? I think that was it. But that was an all day. We got there about 4:30, 4:45 in the morning, left at about 5 o'clock that afternoon. So it was an all day affair.
Can't remember if we done anything or something. Didn't think shrine meeting. That was
Yeah, we had a shrine meeting Wednesday. That was
Scottish Rite to bar.
Yep, got Scottish Rite actual meeting, Scottish Rite stated meeting tomorrow. We've been pretty busy with that, and there was something I was going to write down, and I forgot. Give me a second. Why don't you talk to him while I find it? Put you on the spot.
Well, Brother Dave gets done with whatever it is he's looking for there that he forgot to write down. While he's doing that, I'll let you in on a little secret. Today is going to be a tad bit different. Due to the questions that my wife dreamt up. I got these questions yesterday evening, and they're still... Oh, we're going to get a little shower, thank God.
Yeah.
There's still some stuff on with them questions, and I'm not for sure how to answer. So it ought to be an interesting thing that interviewers get to be interviewees.
Yeah, in a way. I found that this was brought to our attention by Brother Colin Bamber, and this is going to take place in Grangeville Masonic Lodge 231, right there on the corner of Highway 37 and Highway 63 in Grangeville, Louisiana. It's going to be Sunday through Friday, October 26th through October 31st, 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. It's Lorenzo Dow Oak First Annual Fall Revival. They're going to have it at the lodge. There's going to be singing. There's going to be 6 people preaching. Some of them are Mike Stafford, Michael Townsend, Michael Cotton, among others. Chronicle will be there singing Friday, October 31st at 6 p.m. They've got other local groups. It's hard to read on Facebook posts. Danny Bishop, Brent Bryan, Chronicles, Ola Bell, among a few others. So if you can get out to Grangeville Masonic Lodge 231 from October 26th through October 31st, you ought to have a pretty good time out there. It sounds like they got a lot of stuff planned. And I want to thank Brother Colin Bamber for bringing that to our attention. And if there's anything else you know that's going on, if you can send it to us, leave it in a comment on one of the videos, and we'll add it to our video, give an announcement for you. So with that being said, I guess we'll jump right into these. We got 10 questions here.
Well, if we get through all of them, we won't.
We'll see how it goes. Like some of them I think require meditation, deep thought. But we'll kick it off. Number 1, our question is, in our lives, what Mason do we look up to most and why? If you have a Masonic hero or something, a brother that you look up to, why do you look up to him? You know, yeah. Who is it you look up to and why?
I would imagine for most Masons, that's a hard question to answer. I know it is for me.
Mm-hmm.
Because can you have just one? You know, because there are so many brothers that you build a bond with as you go through your Masonic journey. You know, from the ones that are there during your EA, your investigation committee, your, you know, people for your fellow craft, the ones that are there for your master's degree, you know, and each one of them plays a special part or holds a special part in your life. But for me, and I could give you a list. I mean, Terry Fowler, David Scritchfield, Ray Moses, Ricky Johnson, Dale Sharp, Brother Leo Garner, Bud Holloway, Sidney Tyler, James Brown, my grandpa. My Larry Jean. There's so many that I got to grow up around. But I guess the one that I would probably look up to the most out of all of them guys, I guess, and I'll look up to all of them quite a bit because we've all had different journeys. But I would have to say that probably the one would be the one that challenged me the most, and that was Brother Ray Moses when he was our district lecturer or grand lecturer. I showed up here, and there was about 3 or 4 years I didn't do nothing but if I made it to lodge, that was very seldom because I was working in the oil field at the time. Still young and living fast and as hard as I could and doing what young men do, I guess. But I did join the lodge my senior year in high school, and after several years, I showed up here one night, and it was election night. And most Masons will know what that means, because most time when on election night, everybody's here because nobody wants to be secretary. And I showed up that night, told my wife, I said, you know, I'm going to go to lodge tonight. Think I'm going to go check it out. I ain't been in a while. Need to pay my dues anyhow. So I show up. And the master at the time was Brother Sam Leake. And got here, and he pulled me off to the side because it seemed a little numbers was low that night. And I said, well, Brother Leake, is there anything I can help you do? You know, just doing what Masons do, offering that hand of charity, hoping that, you know, I'm fresh. I ain't been here in years. I'm not sure if y'all don't need to try me. Yeah. You know, kind of hoping that the answer will be like, no, we got it. Yeah. But that was not the answer. The answer was, yeah, need some help. Need somebody to sit in the West tonight. You ever sat in the West? And I was like, no, sir. Brother Ray Moses was close by. Brother Ray pulled me off to the side. He said, we're going to go out here and we're going to learn this real quick. You can do it. And I was like, I don't know, Brother Ray. Well, we come out here and he teaches me the opening and the closing of the senior warden's office in about 15 minutes. And I go in there and I rattle that stuff off like that's the only chair I've ever sat in my whole life. And about 20 minutes later, I'm accepting the position of senior warden for the ensuing year. And afterwards, I got with Brother Ray and I said, you got me in a lot of trouble. And he said, the only way to learn masonry and to advance in anything is to get out of your comfort zone. He said, sometimes you got to get out of the pan and into the fire. He said, you can do it. And boy, I did it. After that year, I was elected master for 2 years in a row. And that's whenever I found out that you get out of your comfort zone a lot in masonry. Brother Ray, he was always there to help me. If I stumbled, if I needed anything, words of wisdom, you know, sometimes a tuning up or a pat on the back. And I mean, I got that from everybody, but there was struggles I faced, and Brother Ray was there to be that word of good counsel. Mm-hmm. And that's when I started building the relationships with most of those other guys that I spoke about. But to have just one, I think that'd be hard to narrow it down. But if I had to pick just one, I'd have to say it was probably Brother Ray, because without him challenging me to get out of my comfort zone or making me think that I could, I probably wouldn't be where I am today in masonry.
Yeah. Brother Ray, I'd have to agree. He's a good fellow. Really good guy, and he's taught me a lot just in the short time that I've been around him. Boy, it's coming down out there. I don't know if y'all can hear it or not, but it's pouring outside, which is good. We need a little bit.
Yeah, we need a lot. We'll take it.
But I guess I need to try to answer that question too.
Yeah, I shouldn't, be out on my own.
Yeah, I mean, I was hoping I could just ask you the question.
Of course.
But and it's the same way. And I like Brother T said, if you ask a Mason this question, they're probably going to struggle because there's going to be a lot of guys they look up to in Masonry. But if I had to narrow it down to just one, all them names that Brother T rattled off are great guys. I came up in Kentucky, is where I was raised in Masonry. And we've got a lot of good guys up there. Jim Doom, Mary Wood, Brother John Gill. They helped me a lot coming up. And since I've been down here, T. Bailey's helped me a lot. That right there.
I hear the train.
All them names that he mentioned off. Good people. But one that stands out to me would be he was a brother of mine, not by blood, but by love, and eventually became a brother of mine through Masonry as well. Brad Colt. Yeah, he's still up in Kentucky. And I heard T. Bailey just say, I hear that train coming. That's Camelback. That, Brad. That train coming. And he was about to hit me with something else, whether it was something in the lodge or something in life. But I think that would have to be the one that I look up to the most, because he poured a lot of himself into me. And before I met Brad and before I got into Masonry, I was just a guy that got up, went to work, came home, ate, took a nap, sleep, whatever you want to call it, went back to work. I never really done much of anything else. Fished when I got a chance to go fishing. But I never really applied myself much. You get caught in that drudgery of life and you just kind of get stuck there. And Brad taught me how to get out of that. And then getting me into Masonry was one of the things he did. And that brought a lot of other men in my life that were willing to push you and push you out of that comfort zone and force you to learn. And at the time, you may get a little aggravated with them, but when it's all said and done, you look back on it and you're like, well, I had a blast. And if it hadn't been for that brother pushing me, I wouldn't have had that fun. I'd have been sitting at home watching TV or playing on my phone or something. Nothing constructive anyway. So if I had to choose one, I would say Brad Colt. And if he watches this, he'll probably cuss me for saying his name, but it is what it is, brother. So our next question is outline a Mason. Basically, what do we think makes a good Mason? What a good Mason should be? And these are all good, hard questions.
Yeah, because each person's opinion of what a good Mason would be is going to be different.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I would say that a man that has a giving heart, that's willing to help somebody that can't repay him, and help without being noticed or being given glory or his name being on a teleprompter on a TV report somewhere or printed in the front page of the American press or posted all over Facebook, or, a man that, not necessarily in the shadows, but a man that don't mind not being in the spotlight.
Mm-hmm.
And then, I may be wrong, but a good Christian man, somebody that can take the lessons that is taught out of the Bible and apply them to his life, and somebody that can take the lessons he's taught at lodge and apply them to his life. What's the Bible say? A cheerful giver.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody that's a cheerful giver. Somebody that probably practices the best he can practice of being a good husband, a good father, a good friend, a good community member. Somebody that has upright intentions, good moral values. Not just somebody that's out, slinging dope, and not somebody you could look at and be like, yeah, he'd roll one.
Yeah.
And not that necessarily those people can't change or those people are bad, because people can change. And who's to say that somebody that you look at today that would roll one 10, 15 years from now ain't signing it and throwing in a petition because they've found a new way of doing things and they ain't rolling them anymore. They've changed their life. But some men are Masons and they don't have the degrees and they don't belong to a lodge. There's some men that are, I guess you could say, are born with it in them already. Or at least that's what my grandpa said about a few. Because there's just some people that you meet and you just know that guy right there would make a great Mason. And I know it's hard for me because I'd be glad to tell them, hey, you'd make a great Mason. But we can't recruit.
Yeah.
Strongly advised, maybe, but
yeah.
Can't recruit. But that's what I'd say. Somebody that's willing to be there for everybody and anybody that needs him, and somebody that the only time they look down on you is when they're helping you up, regardless of the situation, and regardless on his situation. I've been at the bottom looking up, to see the bottom, and still been more than willing to help somebody that couldn't help themselves. Doesn't necessarily, make it a great situation for you, but I think that's what makes a good Mason, somebody that is willing to sacrifice everything he's got for his human family, his brothers, whatever it may be.
And like her next question is like, what makes a good man? I believe these two questions kind of intermingle, because if you've got a good man, he would be a good Mason.
Right.
If he fits all them check marks that you just listed off, he's going to be a good man and a good Mason. And to me, if you can take that Bible and you can read it and apply it to your life and actually work at applying it to your life, especially like Proverbs, you start reading through Proverbs, you start figuring out what some of the stuff means in Proverbs and start applying it to your life. That you would be a good man, you would be a good Mason. And our next question is, what makes a man better? And that's, you can kind of fold that into.
Yeah, those three questions are pretty much almost the same.
Yeah, you can kind of fold that into them, because if you got somebody like you said, like right now, he'll go out there and roll one. Well, maybe he starts reading that Bible, or maybe he has a friend that starts calling him out on his stuff, and he starts realizing where he's messed up and starts trying to better himself. The same rules apply, And I always go back to that Bible because that's where I get my rules from.
Right.
And when I joined the lodge, that's the book they give me and told me to use it as the rule and guide of my life. And
some people don't. How would you put that? Some people, I guess, think that they're judged by so many that there ain't nobody that's willing to help them. There is no other way than what they do.
Yeah, that's true. And that's true. But then a lot of people, if you're trying to help them and hold them accountable, then they think you're judging them.
Right.
They're not willing to take that constructive criticism. Yeah. And it's like, hey, there's not 20 other people here. It's just me and you.
Yeah.
And I'm saying, hey, brother, maybe you need to work on this.
Yeah.
I was that way. And here's what I did to overcome it. Here's what I did to change. Here's what helped me.
And some people that are in those situations don't see or don't realize that there is other people that may have been in that situation.
Just because they don't look like it now, don't mean they weren't going through it before.
I mean,
or on the tail end of it,
I can tell you, I never had a drug problem. I ain't never rolled one. But if it was in a bottle, I could have probably floated several boats.
Yep. That's one thing I fought with for a while too, among other things. But that was probably the major one. The other things I dealt with kind of drove me to that, and that's a lot of men. Men feel pressure.
Yeah.
And
first thing I'm gonna crack me a cold and I'll feel better. No, you're gonna crack open your crutch.
Yep.
Because that's basically what it turns into. It's a crutch. It's a crutch for you to try to forget the struggles of your daily life instead of finding somebody to sit down and talk to about those struggles.
Yep.
Because if you have friends, if they're friends, they should hold you accountable and they should be the ones you go and talk to. If you can't talk to your spouse or significant other or girlfriend, or you can't talk to all three of them at one time, whatever it may be, you ought to have somebody that you can talk to. Because a lot of people, they're quick to say alcohol is not a gateway drug. In my book, it is a gateway drug. Because you start drinking, and then you become an alcoholic. Okay, well then guess what? Your liver goes to shutting down. Well, I got more problems now. Well, hell with it. I'm going to just drag up, throw in the towel. I just do what I want. Well, what does that do? Well, you may start smoking a little pot. You may take a little toot every now and then, It turns into something. I know, technically, it's not a gateway drug. But in my opinion, it is. Now, I'm not saying that a man can't have one every now and then. Sure. Why not? Hell, me and you have one every now and then. But there is a limit. And sometimes we forget and we go past that limit. And sometimes that can make us not look like that Masonic example that we ought to look like.
Yeah.
Especially when we're a walking billboard for a fraternity that we belong to. We may run off at the mouth. We may get silly. We're not ourselves when we're under the influence of all this other stuff. And then the next morning you're like, oh man, should have done this. Man, did I really do that? Or man, I could quit. I ought to quit. I need to quit. And then next weekend you're doing it again. But if you ain't got friends that are willing or brothers that are willing to hold you accountable and you feel comfortable talking to them, you may not never quit.
Yeah.
But being in those altered minds or altered settings, I guess, you can do more damage than you can good sometimes. So that's just my thought.
I'll agree. I don't know if we really answered that one or not.
I don't
know.
know.
Roll with it. Sounded good to me.
Sometimes you get on them tears. And one thing about it is there's a man upstairs that will tell you what to say and when to say it, and we don't have no power over that. So somebody might have needed to hear it.
Yeah. Yep.
It may have saved somebody. It may have saved somebody's life, marriage, friendship, lodge membership. There's no telling. It could have been the words that somebody needed to hear to say, hey, you know what? I do got friends. I do got family. I got brothers that are willing to be there, that are willing to help me through any storm, trial, tribulation, valley, mountain, river, whatever it may be that I'm going through. I just got to man up and do it. We listened to a preacher yesterday. The worst 3 words that an adult man can say is, I got this. Because we ain't got it by ourselves.
No. And that was my struggle. That's why, I didn't want to be a wussy.
Men never do.
You know what I mean? Like, I wanted to use another word, but, I didn't want to be a wuss and go cry, man, and well, now I'm gonna look like a wuss to all my friends, you know. They would come over crying to me. So you don't want to do that. So you just shoulder it yourself, and you try to find those exits, those crutches, those band-aids, whether it's alcohol, whether it's drugs, whatever it is, women.
Because we never stop and think we got the greatest crutch there is. Actually, may feel like a crutch, but if we follow it and we follow his teachings, before long we're able to walk without that crutch. I've been there, I've done it. So,
amen.
I mean,
I'll agree.
It is a man's pride is the worst part of being a man.
That's why I carry this with me every day.
About time for a new one, old son.
Hey, I've had this one for a while. It's all marked up, highlighted, and notes in the margins and everything. But yeah, that's what got me out of the pit. That and my brothers in the lodge. You know, being able to talk to them and share what I was going through, and realizing that 95% of the men sitting in that lodge went through the same thing. And all I had to do was say help.
You're not judged.
No, not at all.
They have went through it.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the great thing about being a Mason is it ain't got to be your brother at the lodge.
Mm-mm.
It can be your brother from another lodge.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a 90% chance they went through it.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody in there's went through it, and they'll be there to hold your hand, hug your neck, you know, build you up, whatever it is that you need in that moment, and then they'll probably continue to check on you after that. You can't build those bonds anywhere else, just about, because friends come and go.
Yeah.
But because I have found that in my life, friends come and go, but brothers are forever.
Yeah.
Tirade, rabbit trail, whatever you want to call it, but
Well, I knew of a lodge far, far away where one of its brothers had messed up and ended up spending a night behind bars because of a mistake he had made. Wasn't a big mistake. What most people would say wasn't a big mistake, but to the law, that's a big mistake. And
to him, it was probably a big mistake.
It was alcohol was involved, from what I heard. He was pretty tore up about it, but he was ashamed to come back to the lodge after that happened, and the brothers of that lodge reached out to him several times and was like, "Hey, you know, where you been?" And he's like, "Well, I'm sure y'all have already heard what happened, and I'm just ashamed to hold my head up." And that lodge was like, "No, brother, you're always welcome here. Come on in any time. Let's sit down and talk." And that's what happened. He showed up. The lodge sat down and talked, and they worked everything out.
And they probably covered him with love. And
they did.
Everything
and
else.
As far as I know, last time I was in contact with these people from that lodge, he's been straight and narrow ever since, and has never looked back. And any chance he gets, he's in the lodge helping out. And that's the thing, you know, nobody started throwing rocks at him and saying,
because we're not
terrible.
without sin.
Yeah,
we can't pick up the first stone.
Mm-hmm. But next question.
And I say it a lot, but there is a love and a bond in the Masonic Lodge you can't get anywhere else.
Mm-hmm.
You can't get it. I mean, church is a great thing. Don't get me wrong. I love going to church. We go to Cherry Grove Baptist Church. We got a great preacher, Brother Josh Eubanks. I mean, we enjoy it. But even at church, people will still judge
you. And I've had conversations with church family that I've had in the past, and once I start trying to talk about some of the things that I've done in my past, like, "Oh, we don't talk about that stuff."
Yeah.
No, I mean, you don't talk about that stuff.
Not Brother Eubanks. He'll talk about it.
And that's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I've only been there a few times. It's a new church to me, but the times that I've been, he's been spot on.
I've really enjoyed it.
Yes, it's been a great service. But like I said, you start bringing up certain topics and they shy away from it. They don't want to talk about it. And a lot of it, I see it a lot, and I'm not trying to call nobody out or anything like that. But in my personal experience, it's usually the people that grew up in church their whole life and they never really done anything bad.
Right. Or to everybody's knowledge.
Yeah, well, when I say they never really done anything bad, I'm talking, they think getting the speeding tickets back. You know what I'm saying? They really were sheltered as a child, however you want to say it. They never really got out and got drunk. They never really done anything. They stayed in church their whole life. Well, then when you start talking about problems that you have, they shy away from it because they're like, oh, it's too shameful to talk about.
Yeah.
And
it could be because they've never experienced it.
That's exactly what it is. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying nothing bad about the church or anything, but some of the people in church, they don't know how to talk about stuff like that because they've been in church their whole life and they haven't experienced too much of the evil side of the world that's out there. And
church is great. Church is a good thing, and your church family is a vital part of your life.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a Mason, your lodge family is a vital part of your life also.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes more so than the other vital parts of your life.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a person that's blind or deaf or whatever it may be. Well, other senses kick in.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Masonry is kind of like that. When you're going through a trial or a tribulation in life that no one else can understand, you can almost bet your brothers will understand.
Mm-hmm.
So another sense takes over. Or at least that's how I see it.
That's a good. I like that. That's a good analogy there. It works. It makes perfect sense to me. I like it. Yeah, I know I could stand up in open lodge and share anything I want to share with every brother that's in that room. I ain't got to pull a brother or two aside and say, hey, I'm going through this. I can stand up with every one of them and their visitors from other lodges and everything. I could stand up and I can tell them what I got going on in my life. And they're going to listen.
Yeah.
And they're going to give me any type of advice they can give me to help me out. Or just say, just listen to me. You know what I mean? Just let me talk to them or whatever. If it's something they can't help me with, they're probably still going to let me cry on their shoulder.
Sometimes that's all you need.
Sometimes that is. Just a good old cry every now and again.
Cleanses the soul.
Yes.
I do it a lot.
And I think we actually kind of, question number 5 is, what does the lodge do to help improve yourself? I think we kind of been talking about that.
Yeah, I think so.
It's they give you the tools. They tell you how to use them, and then it's up to you to use them.
Yep.
And if you're struggling, right back to what we just talked about. You can ask any brother for help.
You're a team.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you're a brotherhood. And if you can't ask somebody for help, then you might need to reevaluate your location.
Yep. That's a true story. True story. I think that works for the church too.
Oh, definitely.
Another question is, does your fellow brothers hold you accountable?
I would say depends on the situation.
Yeah.
And the reason I say that is everybody looks at situations different, so they may not think that, well, we need to hold them accountable for this, but we don't necessarily need to hold them accountable for that, because that ain't as severe as this.
Mm-hmm.
When that may have been the reason that we got to this. So I think that as brothers, we may need to hold our brothers more accountable.
Mm-hmm.
If we see them straying, we got that lesson taught to us.
Mm-hmm.
How often do we use it?
Mm-hmm.
Or do we just, yeah, I saw you. Holla at your boy.
Mm-hmm. And I think I'll agree with you too. I think it's kind of a case-by-case basis on whether we do or not. If you see somebody doing something terrible, you're going to run over and say, hey. But if you're a Mason, you shouldn't be doing anything terrible to begin with.
Right.
If you live up to your oaths and what you promise. I'm sure everybody slips every now and again.
Yeah, well,
everybody does.
It doesn't matter how hard we strive to be that great example or that, perfect role model, or the one that everybody wants to be, or the one that everybody looks up to, or the lead guy and everything. No matter how hard we do that, we're still humans and we're still going to fall. But it's our job as Masons and as humans to make sure that if we see somebody falling, that we're willing to help them get back up, and then help them fight their battles and hold them accountable if we know what their reason was for falling.
Mm-hmm.
And, regardless if it's in your marriage, in your home life, in your church life, in your work life, in your community life, whatever it is, you said earlier, we got a book.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a map. Tells us everything we need to know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm sure if we really dive into that book and we dissect some of those scriptures that are in there, I'm willing to bet we're going to see that there's some cases in there where people was held accountable for their actions. And if it was good for them, it was good for us.
There's a lot of people in that book that got held accountable
That's
for
what
their
I'm talking
actions.
about.
Yeah. And
now, I don't know if it was a case-by-case thing or what it was, but I would agree with you. A lot of it is case-by-case.
Mm.
And it maybe necessarily shouldn't be, but it is.
Yeah, and that's what I think that's probably where we probably fell at probably the most, is holding brothers accountable, because you may see them do a slip up or something and you'd be like, well, he ain't gonna do it again.
Yeah.
So you can't
He knows
leave it
better.
alone. Yeah, he knows, but he knows you shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So you let it go, and then next thing you know, it's multiplied, and you're like, man, maybe I should have said something when he first done it. And now we got to go in and have this.
What was it? Adam had a will to obey?
Yeah. Yep. So, and that's the thing. Maybe we probably should start doing more accountability on the small stuff, so it don't lead to big stuff.
Yeah.
But then like I said, if you start pushing too much, then
you're right. It's like it's a slippery slope.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, you don't think I'm good enough,
Mm-hmm.
Then I'm out.
Yeah.
I don't need you always on me all the time.
Mm-hmm.
My business ain't necessarily all of your business, and I don't want to know none of yours. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. Agree. Next question. Do you discuss the things in your life that need improvement? I'm going to say probably not enough.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Probably not enough. But
we do.
Because we're men and
yeah,
I got this.
Yeah. It ain't till you break that you're like, I don't got this.
Yeah. Where have you been when I needed all this help?
Should I?
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say we do to a point, but like Brother Teet said, we're men. We don't want to admit that we can't, that we don't have it all together.
Right. Our pride won't let us.
Yeah, and that's a big thing in that book. Pride comes before the fall.
Exactly.
Your pride's what gets you there.
Yep.
And you eventually fall.
Yep. And then sometimes we need to fall.
Oh yeah.
Because it reminds us that
it humbles you.
Exactly. It reminds us of what we could do, what we do have.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes them falls open your eyes a little bit.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Next question, number 8. Do you feel that your lodge as a whole personally sets good examples for the entered apprentice and fellow crafts to follow to become that better man? If not, is there room for improvement, or how can it be improved?
Well, I'd say if you're not setting good examples, then there's your room for improvement.
Yeah.
You should probably do that.
Yeah.
Especially when you have young Masons coming up behind you. And I would say that even goes for Master Masons that are new in their journey.
Mm-hmm.
They're still watching, Mm-hmm. I'm not an old guy, but at Sam Todd, I'm an old head because I've been in since I was 18. So I got a few years in. Well, there's guys that are older than me that are just getting in, but they're watching OT to see what he does.
Mm-hmm.
Well, You don't want them to see you falling and nobody saying anything to you, and then they go to thinking, oh, well, that's okay. That's the way it should be. And you're not setting that good example. So I think we don't, or we may not set as good of example as maybe we should. And other people may set a great example. I could probably rattle off a dozen names of men that I would say, well, I would be hard pressed to be convinced that they ever messed up in life.
Yeah.
Because of the example through masonry that I've seen, by watching them. But I think we should strive to make sure that we set a good example for them.
Mm-hmm.
Because that is the image of masonry. They're the image of masonry.
Mm-hmm.
So
I will agree. I know one thing that I try to do with, if we have an EA, I usually always keep in contact with them. I always tell them, if you need anything, I'm here. Check in on them. Where you at on your work, stuff like that. Anything they need to help that I can help them with, let me know. Whatever. And
I don't think as a lodge we do that good enough.
No, and that's something I've tried to do, kind of on my own, and as an example for other guys.
Yeah.
Maybe. One thing I do think we fail at our lodge, and probably a lot of lodges around, is remembering to invite those EAs and fellowcraft when we have a function at the lodge, not just a stated meeting, but when we're doing one of our community events or something like that.
Right.
Making sure we reach out and let those guys know, hey, we're up here, come by, hang out, give a hand if you want to give a hand, or just be here for moral support, like we tell some of them,
Because it's like Brother Terry said when we talked to him, we got to get them involved. And I would agree we probably fail at doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Probably way, way more than we should. And that's on me too, because I got their numbers. I could message them. I could call them.
It's on the whole lot.
And then it's up to them. Whether they got family picnics, reunions, or baseball games. Or, hey, I just don't want to come. I want to sit in my lazy boy in my underwear and eat a bag of Cheetos.
Yeah.
That's on them, but I believe we should try to make it a point to invite them. To at least involve them or make them feel like they're involved, because I'm afraid that people join lodges, they get their EA, and they're like, oh, yeah, most of the time, in my opinion, those that get their fellowcraft are just so stoked that they're riding it, baby. And after they get their fellowcraft, they're like, man, well, I wonder what's next, and then they fizzle out because maybe they're not getting to be involved, or it's not everything they thought it was going to be because they don't get to come to the meetings. And I think that's why we have so many people that don't finish, maybe. It's because it's on us more than it is on them.
Mm-hmm. What's your opinion on some states and some lodges have got to where they can do business in the fellowcraft or EA degree or fellowcraft degree to where they can come to their meetings?
I don't know if I agree with it.
I don't either.
And the reason I say that, and it's my opinion, but as an EA and a fellowcraft, you don't know the intricate workings of the lodge enough to come and make a good enough decision or a well-informed decision on the workings of the lodge or the things that the lodge have going on.
But then
now, I would say
some people would argue if you move business to fellowcraft and they started coming, then they would have that better.
Maybe.
Yeah.
But that is the only thing that the Master Mason degree has that the EA and fellowcraft don't, is we get to do business. So in order for you to get to know all the rest of these secrets that you ain't promised to get anyhow, because I'm still waiting on mine to show up, that's all we got. Mm-hmm. So the only way to get to them is you got to finish these other two. So I don't agree with doing business in the EA or the Fellowcraft for that reason. There's so much more knowledge you can obtain in the Master Mason's degree that you can apply, that you can share once you've gotten it. That it will help you set those examples and make those well-informed decisions, better than, we're going to do business in the EA and the Fellowcraft. Now, I think we should, as Master Masons, I believe, and some lodges may do this. Hey, if you're a lodge out there that does this, what I'm about to say, put it in the comments. Let us know how that works. Maybe something Sam Todd wants to try. But let's gather all our EAs up. Let's gather all our Fellowcrafts up. Let's drop down to that degree. And let's do a lodge of instruction. Let's have a study night. Let's do a Fellowcraft education or an entered apprentice education. Let's get them to where they feel like they're involved and they're doing something.
That's what I just wrote down on my tablet. An EA night, Fellowcraft night. Something to...
Well, see, great minds think alike.
Yeah, that's what I just wrote down. And that's one thing I was about to talk about, was doing something like that. I think that would be a good way to get them more involved, is take something from the EA degree and have an education about it.
Sure.
Dive deeper into it, give them a better explanation of it. And the EA and Fellowcraft degrees actually have so much information in them that just gets sped through while you're doing the degree.
Yeah, and then like your Fellowcraft degree, if you ask most Masons, at least my opinion, the Fellowcraft degree,
yeah.
There's nothing real exciting about it.
But it probably holds most of the information in your degrees comes from the Fellowcraft degree.
Yes.
Because that's when you, in the operative sense of Masonry, that's when you actually start doing more of the intricate work.
Right.
You're not just a laborer.
Right.
You're actually learning how to build your building.
Right.
And that's why the Fellowcraft degree seems to get skipped over or breezed through. If you sit down and look at what happens in that degree, a lot of information.
If you take it and break it apart, dive down into it, you see all kinds of stuff that when you're going through it or you just get through your degree, you're like, well, where was that at? But I don't know.
Well, if it ain't done at Sam Todd, by the time I make it around to the east, it'll get done at Sam Todd when I'm up there.
Look forward to it.
I mean, and like I said, the lodge is probably not going to have a handful of EAs, so we would need other EAs to come from other lodges.
Well, that would be something you could invite, like, you could make that a 10th District EA night, or a 10th District Fellowcraft night, or a state thing. You could get the Grand Master involved. You could get you have so many outlets that you could use for stuff like that, because you got Brother Troy Jones.
Yep.
You can't tell me that man ain't got an education presentation for the EA or the Fellowcraft.
You're right.
And if you were an EA or a Fellowcraft and you got to sit through and listen to Brother Troy Jones, some of his presentation, if your fire was dampening, it should get lit.
Oh, yeah.
Because at the Warden's Retreat, we said it when we did that interview, we did that episode. It was great. We loved it. Can't wait to go back next year. But yes, I think we fail, and I think it should be a shame on us for doing that.
Agree.
And there is ways that we can improve, but wise men once said, we never ask.
That's true.
Or, well, that's the way it's always been done.
That's the way it's always been done. Yep. And I think at Sam Todd we have a good education program.
Oh, we have a great education program.
And we do education every month.
Every month.
In the Master Mason's degree. So I think it would be great.
It would be nothing for you and Brother Luke to put something together.
Something for EA, and then we'll do one for Fellowcraft.
Y'all have done an outstanding job this year. And I can't wait to see what y'all do next year, because we keep a copy of everything, so next year you can't repeat yourself.
Dang. I was just gonna pull out September's and January next year, and maybe I'll never forget.
No, I keep them in my bag.
That's good. That's good. No, I keep a copy of them too, because that's the last thing I want to do is repeat ourselves.
Yeah.
Because there's plenty out there.
Right.
If we're having to repeat ourselves, then we're not working.
Right.
It's like that. One brother said there's almost 1 million books
Mm-hmm.
in the Library of Congress about masonry. You could read one a day, and it would take 100 lifetimes to read everything about masonry. So if we have to repeat ourselves doing an education 12 times a year, if one of them has to be repeated, we're failing.
Yeah.
Big time.
Big time.
All right.
I think we covered that one. I think
that
may
was
not.
a good
I mean,
topic. That's a good topic. All these are
some
good
of these
questions.
we're veering off a little, but just hang with us. Just stay with us. Don't quit us.
We veer a little bit, but sometimes that veer takes care of another question.
Yeah, you're right. Starts a tirade on something else.
All right. Here's a good one. Within your lodge, there is always that one person, maybe more, that slips in that may not be the mason that you thought they would be. Do you think that hurts the lodge? Does the lodge help that person become a better mason? Or do you feel that the lodge turns their back on that person?
I would say that it would hurt the lodge.
Mm-hmm.
In a sense, it would hurt the lodge. Because if he is not the mason, or they are not the mason that you thought them to be, and they're a member of your lodge, not a plural member, a full-fledged member of your lodge, then somebody did not guard the door good enough.
Exactly. That was my thoughts exactly. It kind of goes back to the whoever's on that. And I don't want to put all the blame on the investigating committee, but they are the ones that report back.
Right.
And I've been on some investigating committees.
Yeah, because the investigating committee gets up and they talk about this guy. Well, that gives every sitting member that's in that meeting that may know him a chance to stand up or go to the investigating committee and tell them what they know about that guy.
Mm-hmm.
How often do we do that?
That's true.
Probably not enough.
I don't think nowhere near enough. Probably. Hey, we did have a guy do that with one of ours here lately. I'm not going to put no names out or nothing like that.
Yeah.
But they came to us and said, "Hey, I knew him 15 years ago,
and this is how
this is how he was." I'm not saying that's how he is now, but hey, we need to know.
Yeah.
And there was talk I think it was at the warden's retreat, where there was talk about Facebook and how they're saying that if somebody petitions the lodge, then the lodge needs to get access to their Facebook account, not their admin and all that, but they need to know how to find them on Facebook, and that person needs to make their Facebook viewable by the lodge.
Yeah.
Because a lot can be found out about a person on their Facebook page.
Without a doubt. Hey, we're on vacation. Hey, we're here.
Yeah, and they could be
Facebook is the it is the
if they're going to be on it,
everyday life diary of a person. Because I know people that post stuff on there every day. Oh, I love Marketplace.
Yeah, I love Marketplace too. That's about all I use Facebook for. I'll share stuff that's happening in the lodge, and I'll look at Marketplace.
And I will message Robert Sanders before daylight.
I do use a lot of messages.
That way I wake everybody in that group message up.
That's awesome. Then you get him puking on pickle pops.
Exactly, but hey, can't handle his juice.
Yeah. But yeah, and the investigating committee comes back to the lodge and reports, and if you don't know that person, you're having to take that investigating committee's word.
Yeah.
Because you don't know him. That's all you know him from is what they're.
And then who's to say that the investigating committee didn't? I mean, they did their due diligence. I'm not saying that, but who's to say that this person wasn't putting on a charade just to join a lodge? Mm-hmm. So in a way, yes, I believe wholeheartedly that hurts a person, hurts a lodge. Mm-hmm. But in another sense, it also gives that lodge a chance to be that whisper of good counsel in that brother's ear.
Yeah.
Because we can bring Masonic charges on somebody and have them removed or suspended from our lodge.
Yep.
For unmasonic conduct.
It happens more than people realize it.
Right, because we do our best. We do our best to
do.
police our own. So there is always a way out, but everybody can change.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get somebody in a lodge that ain't that great, or he slips in, or they slip in, or whatever the case may be, I think the lodge should do its due diligence and try to build that brother up, make them see the right way, and if that don't work, file charges on him and get him out. Plain and simple.
Yep. I'll agree wholeheartedly with that too, because it goes back to if the public knows you're a Mason, then they're judging Masonry on how you act.
Right.
So if you've got somebody that's
and you ought to be able to tell early on in.
Yeah.
Not wait till he's get his master's degree and, you should be able to tell early on in. Because it only takes one bad apple to ruin a whole bunch. And we got a bad enough reputation as it is that we're trying to rebuild and, so I would say test the waters maybe. The waters don't come out the way you want them, or it don't settle, or he don't do what he's supposed to. Holler at me. I'll come. I'll floor with your lodge long enough to get rid of them if that's what you need. You need somebody to do it.
Yeah.
I don't want to see any lodge fail because of one person or a small group of people. And I believe that there's so many fraternal organizations that have, for some reason, have a group of people that's their goal. For whatever it may be. Maybe they got a messed up mind or a bad way of thinking, but their goal is to do everything in their power to make sure that lodge, it could be that lodge, that temple, that chapter, that body, that whatever it may be, it's their job to make it fail. And if you don't have enough people in that lodge, said body, whatever, club, to overthrow that person or to make them see that, hey, you're doing wrong. You ought not do that. Instead of going against us, why don't you join us? Then it implodes. There's nothing you can do.
No.
Because, we heard that story yesterday about Adam and Eve. The serpent talked her into taking that apple. Boy, she did it. Well, Adam was standing there. They didn't get in trouble because they did it. But Adam had an opportunity to correct it. He didn't do anything. So sometimes as a lodge, we set back and we're like, well, if it ain't of good, it'll do away with itself.
Yeah.
That's not always the case. Sometimes we have to be able to, recognize it. You see something, you say something. We teach our kids that now. You see something, you say something.
Yeah, and it, like going back to Adam and Eve, if Adam would have just said, hey,
I think it's a bad idea.
Yeah, God told us not to eat that.
Yeah.
That's like the only rule he gave us.
Yeah.
Don't eat that. Maybe we shouldn't do that.
Now look at you. Curse for life.
Yeah. Yeah, we could all been living hand to hand with God.
Yeah, I mean, elbowed in the
Eden.
Exactly.
But yeah, I think that was pretty good.
But it and sometimes these people that are in that little group that have slipped in, infiltrated, whatever you want to call it, they're your friends. They're your buddies. Sometimes they got your back when nobody else does. Sometimes they're the serpent. And they're just trying to make you think, I got your back. I got your back. Because eventually I'm going to win you over to my side. And then there's 2 of us. And then we're going to get somebody else's back. Then there's 5 of us. And then there's 10 of us. And then look at this little army that we got. And we're fixing to take that hill. Now there's some people that dig in like ticks, babe. And when you get to that top of that hill, you better pack a lunch. Because some of them's got a good sturdy hold. A firm foundation, and you might be there a while. But it seems to me that it's easier to convince somebody to go against somebody else than it is to stand with them sometimes. And as a lodge and as a brotherhood, that should be something that is so far out of our minds that it shouldn't even be a question on a piece of paper.
And that's true. And that's everyday life. It ain't just in the lodge. That happens every day.
Oh yeah.
Jobs and school, whatever your daily life is, it's a constant battle. But yeah, you gotta stand together and keep your eyes open. I mean, what's the Bible say? The enemy runs around like a roaring lion, searching to devour whoever he can devour.
Seeking who he may destroy.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you got to circle them wagons, babe.
Yep. Draw that line.
And sometimes it's a hard line to draw.
Sometimes you got to flip tables.
Amen.
Sometimes you got to flip tables.
I mean, I do my best, and I fail daily because that is the human part of me. I fail daily. So there is days that I am not the good example of a Mason. Because there is days that I'd like to take that and set her to the side, be like, Jesus, hold this for a minute. I'm going to go over here and take care of something. I'll be back. And there's people that see that. And I shouldn't be that way. So I read something today while we was working. And it had something to do with what you said about flipping tables. And in this little quote that I read, it said, don't find yourself sitting at a table that Jesus would flip. And it made me think, that's everyday life. That's home life, work life, marriage, school, lodge, church, whatever it may be. We got to watch where we're at. Because everybody's watching us. Regardless of what it is. And I know my wife is quick to tell me, well, that's not what them Masons are supposed to do. And I'm like, you're right, baby, but for 5 seconds, I would really like we need to pray together. Maybe lay hands. You know what I'm saying? Not on brothers or anything like that, but just we face struggles in our everyday life that causes us to fail. And maybe we don't realize while we're down there, all we got to do is get on our knees and everything will be okay. But I know I don't. I'd rather jump back up and let's get back after it. But sometimes I'm just not that good example of what a Mason should be.
That's every Mason. I mean, I'm sure, now I find it hard to believe that now, but I'm sure some of them names you called out earlier is probably, I'm sure they probably,
in their younger days, probably a little more spry.
Yes. Yeah.
But we have to step back and think sometimes.
And that's when up in Kentucky, that I met a brother that kind of made you wonder how he got in the lodge. You know what I mean?
I've met several.
And that's and I was talking to another guy about it. He said, look, I was talking to another brother of this man's lodge. He goes to this man's lodge. And that's what I asked him. I said, hey, so-and-so just don't really strike me as a Mason. Some of the stuff he does in day-to-day life just, maybe, how do you make it in as a Mason, And they said, well, you should have met him before he was a Mason. Yeah. And I had to sit back and think about that. But that's what he said. He was a much worse man until he started hanging out with his friends that were Masons. And then once he started making those improvements and taking small steps forward, however small they were still small steps forward.
Yeah.
And when that lodge felt that he was on the right path and had continued on that path enough to where they knew he would continue that path, then that's when they let him into the fraternity.
Right.
And he took more leaps and bounds after that. And that's what he said. He said, yeah, there's times when we like, woohoo, why did we let him in? Why did we let him in? But he said you could always go to his house and you could always sit down and you could hold him accountable and realized where he messed up, and he would take those small steps again to continue to go forward. And,
that's what I try to do. My wife is probably my biggest one. She's my biggest supporter in anything that I do, whether it involves her or not. But she is always the first one that's willing to set me down, and she doesn't mind telling me where I'm wrong and she's right, or what I've done and where I should probably study to fix that.
Yeah.
She is quick to hold me accountable, and I mean, there was a time when O.T. Bailey, I ain't always been this nice.
You're nice.
This laid back.
You're laid back.
In some ways, yeah. It ain't near like it used to be, and my wife can attest to that. And a lot of that is due to the brotherhood of Masonry and the men that the Lord has put in my life. Because I don't believe that we meet people and people are put in our lives by chance.
No.
We are all on a path. And you can't tell me that I've had the honor and the privilege that my path has intersected with some of these men that I'm able to call my brother. That's not chance.
Mm-hmm.
That is divine intervention. Because I'm going to tell you, I work at the sheriff's office with Dave. I run a crew of trustees. I told them boys the first day I got a new crew, if something in my life had not have changed, I'd have made a great trustee. Well, a lot of that when I was younger was because I had a grandma that prayed. And then I joined Sam Todd. And I met other men that would hold me accountable, show you the right way of doing things. And it changed.
Mm-hmm.
And I thank God for it. And still today, my path crosses with people, and wouldn't change it for nothing in the world.
Well,
we meet people when we need to meet them.
mm-hmm.
And they don't know why they needed to meet O.T. Bailey. Some guy from the middle of nowhere. Why? You ever sit back and wonder why you run into somebody like Terry Fowler? Or R.B. Smith? Ray Moses? Ricky Johnson? I mean, half of my friends I grew up with when I first joined the lodge were law enforcement. Half of them probably would have been my arresting officer. You know, if I'd have continued on the track that I may have been continuing on. But the Lord saw fit to lead me in another way, and I'm so thankful that I heeded that small, still voice and went with it, because I wouldn't have been where I was today. And Masonry played a huge part in that.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, people's like, well, you sure praise Masonry a lot. I do. I sure do.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of those men that I named, not only are they Masons, but they're some of the greatest Christian men, Christian examples that I've ever met.
Mm-hmm.
So not only did, I get a brother in a fraternity, but I got a brother in Christ that'll always be there.
Mm-hmm.
That, don't mind, hey, straighten up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
So, I don't know. That question could lead on another tirade. So.
Well, we're approaching the hour and 10-minute mark.
We'll go through that last one, and
we got one more question.
I'll let you answer it, and I'll do my best to remain silent.
Please. You ain't got to remain silent. Everybody needs to know your opinion too.
I feel as if they've heard mine more than they've heard you.
Talk too. Wait till we run it back. I'll talk too. Last question she's got for us. Would a discussion of the scripture that we read at Lodge, in a sense, turn us into a church? Because all of our work comes out of that book. We read scripture in Lodge So would that, in sense, turn us
Pray.
into a church? Yeah, we pray.
Sometimes we take up a little money.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You almost have testimony service.
Yeah.
I'm going to sit here and be quiet.
But,
Sometimes this is the only church people get.
it's true.
Because they're free of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you got David Carroll, great example. Probably knows his Bible better than, I know he knows it better than me. Probably better than some of the people that I interact with. But he is quick to stand up in there and share the good news, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm.
And he is unapologetic. So does it make us a church? Maybe.
Well, and a lot of people say we're a religion.
We don't have a plan of salvation.
We're not a religion.
No.
A religion is a man-made thing. It's not a God-made thing.
Yeah.
I mean, denomination rhymes with abomination.
Yeah.
Because if you read that rule book of life, we're all supposed to be of one mind. We're all supposed to be of one body. There is no division in Christianity. There is no such thing as Pentecostal, Baptist, Catholic. We're all supposed to be one thing.
There's just the family of Christ.
Religion is man-made.
And you know, the good book says you should fail not to assemble yourself together.
Mm-hmm.
It does not say where.
Mm-mm. The church is the people. The church is not that big.
Exactly.
The church is the people.
So if we want to come in here and we want to say, hey, stated meeting tonight, we're going to talk about the scriptures that we read. If somebody, there may be somebody there that needs that. That may change their whole life. Does it make us the church? No, maybe. Maybe not. But what if Masonry is the greatest example of the church?
Mm-hmm.
How we live our lives, the lessons that we teach, the things that we do. What if we're the greatest example? You know,
And that
going to church don't make you a Christian.
No, it does not.
Just like sitting in the garage don't make you a farm.
That's it. I totally agree with that, because I knew people that went to church on Sundays and beat their wives and kids through the week.
That'll preach.
But they were a deacon in that church every Sunday. And because he was there every Sunday, then he was a great Christian man.
Yeah.
But he beat his wife and kids through the week.
Yeah.
So going to church does not make you a Christian.
And what I mean by maybe the greatest example, Masonry is the greatest example of church. Maybe I'll clear that up a little bit. Probably not. I'll probably muddy it up more than ever. But the Bible says you should go out to the highways and byways and compel them to come in. We take all kinds.
Mm-hmm.
So we're basically doing that. We give them a book of rules,
Mm-hmm.
a set of tools.
Mm-hmm.
How they live their life is up to them.
Yep.
But we highly encourage them to study that book, find the light therein, and apply it to their life. Then, and only then, will they become a true and trusted Mason.
Mm-hmm.
And gain the rewards that are there,
Mm-hmm.
talked about. Well, sounds like church to me.
Yeah. And I've got no problem with it calling it a church.
Me either.
Got no problem with it being a church.
That doesn't bother me.
It doesn't bother me. What bothers me is when they call it a religion.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say it bothers me, because I know it's not.
Yeah.
Religion is man-made.
Right.
Religion is a label that man put on whatever he feels. You got all these different beliefs, and that's what they made religions, all these different beliefs. But if you read that rule book, we should be of all one mind, of one body. We should all be for Christ, for God. If that makes us a church, I reckon. I've got no problem with it. I don't think there's any person that sits in that lodge would have a problem with it being called a church. But we are not a religion, because we don't force people to take Jesus as the plan of salvation.
Right.
We let them figure that out on their own.
We give them a roadmap.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
That's what we do.
So,
And I can tell you there was years that my roadmap was awful clean. Never got used.
But if that person comes into that lodge, even if they aren't, because one of the only stipulations we have is being a Freemasonry is you have to believe in the one and only God.
Right, an
The
atheist can't
supreme
be
being.
a Mason.
You have to believe in one and only, one true God.
Right.
And that is the God of the history book that is called the Bible.
Right.
A lot of people get it messed up. The Quran believes in the same God we do. They just believe in a different Messiah. But they believe in the same God, the one true God. But if you get somebody in this lodge and you show them this book, this is where you get your rules from. If you apply these rules to your life, you'll be a better man. You'll be a good Mason. And then they start getting around the men that are in that lodge, and they start watching how they live. They start seeing the good works that they do, the things that they do, the way they take care of people, the way they take care of their community, the way they treat their wives, their kids, their fellow man. And you ask them, where did you learn to be that way? Well, I became a Mason, and the Masons give me this book of life, this rule book for life.
Mm-hmm.
And they told me to read it, so I read it. They give me the tools to read it with, so I used those tools to read it. And that's how I became a better person. Well, then that person is probably going to start reading that rule book that he just got give when he became a Master Mason. We don't force nobody to open them pages.
Voluntary on your part.
We just tell them that they should. Give them a few pieces of advice. Give them the tools to do it, and give them things to help them remind them what they should be doing. It's up to them to do it. Yeah. And it's like we tell everybody, you get out of Masonry what you put in it. If you come in here and you sit in the chair,
like a knot on the log,
and you're here for a meeting, you're not going to get nothing out of it.
No.
And that's the same thing. If you buy a Bible and put it on your bookshelf and you never read it, you're not going to get nothing out of it. If you go to a church and just sit in a pew and not pay attention and don't go home and check your preacher like you're supposed to do and make sure he's preaching the word like he's supposed to be preaching, then you're not going to get nothing out of that church either. It's anywhere you go. In Masonry, we give you the supplies that you need and the helping hand that you need. But it's up to you to take those steps forward and better yourself. And there's no better book out there to do it with than that one.
You said something a minute ago, and it made me think, and I don't know, maybe it clicked with you when you said it, but it made me think about something in that great book, The Great Light of Masonry, the Holy Bible, the inestimable gift of God to man, to be his rule and guide to his faith and practice. You said those guys that join and they watch the other guys, how they interact with their family, their community. Well, the Bible says you'll be known by your fruits.
Mm-hmm. You can tell the tree by the fruit it bears.
So you can tell who's a good Mason by the fruit that he bears.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes us a church, I'll take it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What is it that, forgive me, I think maybe it was Brother Larry that says it all the time, and maybe, I forget who else said it, but I've heard it said a few times in the lodge is that's what they talk about, bearing good fruit, planting trees that will bear good
Brother
fruit.
Mark Lee.
Mark Lee, yep, Brother Mark Lee is the one that said it. Yep, he always uses that, and I love it. And it's true, just like what the Bible says. You tell a tree by its fruit.
Yeah.
If that person's surrounding himself with good people, then he's probably a good tree rooted firm. If he's surrounding himself with rotten people, then his roots are probably rotten, and that tree's going to top him. You know.
Probably the most controversial question on the entire list, but probably my favorite one.
Yep.
Because it is a question that never really gets asked and hardly probably ever really gets answered. But because it is such a controversial question when it comes to Masonry and the church.
And a lot of people, if you ask that question, they run away from it. They avoid it. They try to go to something else because they don't want to talk about it.
It's not me and you.
We'll talk about anything. I'll either be right or wrong, or I'll tell you I don't know.
And if I'm wrong, the Lord will forgive you.
Yeah.
It ain't no big deal.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's a question that we should be afraid of. And I don't think that if somebody calls the lodge a church, I don't think that should bother us. Religion, yeah. Not necessarily bother us, like you said, but we're not a religion.
Yeah. Like I said, that the word religion it doesn't scare me.
No.
But that's where I think people get confused and people start thinking, oh, they're religion. Religion is man-made. It's got nothing to do with God, nothing to do with the Savior, nothing to do with anything. Religion is totally made up by man.
Right. And I don't know where it got started. How Masonry got accused of being a religion. You know.
Mm-hmm.
But if you take that book, not even being a Mason, hey, if you're not a Mason and you happen to listen to this, if you ain't got a Bible, I highly encourage you to go find one because you may necessarily need one.
Mm-hmm.
Go get it. Open it up. Find somebody, you probably got a friend somewhere that's a Mason, and fact check him.
Mm-hmm.
Look at his fruits. Go back, see what the Scripture says about bearing fruit. Okay, see what he says about going through trials and tribulations, life struggles, accountability, marriage, raising children, work, and then before long you'll probably be turning in a petition. Because that brother may be the only church you got. Because my wife has said it 1,000,000 times. Sometimes we're the only Bible that people read. So we have to be careful.
Yep.
But I don't think it's something that we should stray from, or it shouldn't be a controversial topic.
Nope.
Because we probably have brothers that don't go to church and this is their only church.
Yeah.
And if I play a small part changing somebody's life because of how I may be when I come to lodge or how I am outside of lodge for the better, that is great. Because we're all put here for a purpose and a reason.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to do good, the best good that we can. Because the man upstairs knows that we're not perfect and we're going to fail.
No.
But the difference between a man and a boy is, when a boy fails, let's don't tell dad. But when a man fails, he's like, okay, I need help. Somebody call dad.
Mm-hmm.
So we just got to watch ourselves a little.
Yep. I think it was good.
All my opinions are out there for the world to see. Anybody that objects with any of it, I still love you.
See what I mean? He said, I'm just going to let you do 10 and I'm going to sit over here and shut up. That didn't work, did it? Good stuff, though. Good stuff. I love it. I'm not going to say these are going to be our questions from now on, but I am going to keep these questions with me in my book. And when we sit down and interview people, we may pop one or two of these up, too, just to get a little more deeper conversation going, because they are great, great questions. And I want to thank Vaughn Bailey, my cousin, T's wife, for giving us these questions. And if y'all have questions to add, we've said this before, if y'all have any questions y'all want to hear answered, leave them in the comments on any of these videos. We'll try to check them, try to keep up with them, and we'll add them to our repertoire of questions, our magazine full of question bullets, and
we
get
did
some opinions on that.
You believe we covered the striving, how often we strive? I believe we covered every question pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
I believe we did. It was I think it was great.
I think
it was great.
It's going to be a good episode.
I'm excited about next week's.
Yeah, we have somebody we're going to sit down and talk with next week, so we'll be back to our normal interviewing. I enjoyed this one, Keith.
I did too. It's a lot of fun.
We're about an hour and 23 minutes in. So
probably the longest one we've done.
People's probably going to fall asleep, but hey.
As
long as that view gives us a thumb up, give us a thumbs up for you.
Pause it and come back and watch it again later.
Yeah. So, anyway, we're looking forward to coming back to you next week with another interviewee. Sit down. If it works out, he's a great man in masonry, good man all around. So just you'll have to tune in next week, see who he is, see what the topic's going to be. So, without further ado, I want to ask you to hit that thumbs up, smack the subscribe button, and whack that little bell. Until next week, we'll see you on the 11-11.